Hello. So the important topic again, the CEPA and CECA, other different types of trade agreements, an important topic under our economy syllabus. This year we can expect a question because there were a lot of news with regard to free trade agreement between India and other countries and including India and different organizations. One of the example we already discussed about BIMSTEC. India has proposed for a free trade agreement within the BIMSTEC member countries. So free trade agreement, that is FTA, was frequently mentioned in the news in this context. And CEPA, CECA was also were there. There are bilateral bilateral trade talk with India, Australia, India, Canada, India, UK, India, UAE. These were the news related to the CECA, and CEPA was in the news. So that means we can expect a question in this year, especially on these types of trade agreement. Why this kind of trade agreement is an important for a country or in international relations or in the global economy? That means if any country, for example, India and Sri Lanka, if both countries have a good trade relation, that means the both country are in a good relation. That means in order to improve a country's relation with another, it has to enhance its trade relations. If it has a free flow of goods and services, a free trade is happening between the two countries. That means these both countries are trusting together and their relationship also in a good manner. If there is nothing, the trade, if that is affected, for example, India-Pak relations, if that is not in a good way, we will never ensure a free flow of goods or good trade with the country. But even though we cannot skip this trade relation, in order to improve the relation with these countries in the future level also, we have to enhance the trade relation between the two, or the economic relation between the two, or economic transaction between the two. That's why the free trade agreements or trade relation between the two countries is an important fact for its improvement in relationship in international relations. That's why these are important facts that we need to study. This is the CEPA and CECA. Both are a kind of free trade agreement between the countries, and both of the country will be agreed to have an institutional mechanism in order to improve or in order to encourage the trade relations or flow of goods and services. So there are two words, CEPA and CECA. Before we discussing about CEPA and CECA, we will start about the different or types of trade agreement. Before going to explain the concept of CEPA and CECA, I will explain you the different types of trade agreement. This is again part of our external sector, the types of trades or trade agreements. The first and foremost type of trade agreement is the preferential trade agreement. The preferential trade agreements. If India and UK are coming together in order to enhance its ties or bilateral relations, it will have a talk on economic relations. And one of the core area of economy is the trade relations. That means one of the area that every country, in order to import any goods on that country, there will be a tax will be charged by the importing country. That's called as tariff. How many of you are familiar with tariff? The tariff, yes. So that means in order to import certain things in a country, it has to pay a tax to that domestic country. So foreign country or the UK, if anything, if it is need to import anything to India, it has to pay tax to India. So to improve the relation between India and UK, it will talk about a reduction of the tax or reduction of the tariff. So in the preferential trade agreement, if the both countries were agreed, they will talk about reduction of the tariff and improve lot more trade relations with that. That means it also improving the trade relations, decreasing or reduction of the tariff. That means this is the concept of preferential trade agreement. That means it prefer to have a good trade relation with the another country. Not fully elimination of tariff, but a reduction of a tariff. And above the PTA or more than PTA, once the country is going good with the PTA, they will talk about a free trade agreement. That is the second step. The second type of free trade agreement, more like free of the trade. That means free trade agreement between the country. In this case, both the country will agree to abolish the tariff. And most of the goods, especially most of the goods, not all the goods, they will never abolish the tariff on every goods, but most of the goods, especially the security related concern or the sovereignty of the country or the certain product that need to be reserved under certain category will be exempted. But most of the goods will be like abolish the tariff and will ensure a free trade agreement or free trade flow between the two countries. That means it is a second stage, an expanded stage of the preferential trade agreement, which is called as free trade agreements. In this case, abolition of the tariff on most of the goods. If a statement say abolition of tariff on all the goods will be wrong, the keyword. So it is the most of the cases, most goods will be abolishing the tariff in order to enhance the trade relation or free trade between the two countries. Above the free trade agreement, there is a concept called as comprehensive economic cooperation agreement. Comprehensive economic cooperation agreement and another more comprehensive economic partnership agreement. The CEPA and CECA was in the news. What is CECA? In this case, both will have a cooperation, that means more than the free trade agreement, more than clause. Like some more clause above the free trade agreement, the country want to make a cooperation and coming together and enhance more trade between the two. Sometimes it will expand the tariff or reduction of tariff into some more goods. Again, this is above of the free trade agreement, that means more than the free trade agreement, ensuring free flow of the goods between the two. It is above the free trade agreement or easing the trade between the two countries. CECA, the both country agreed for a cooperation. Then the third one, cooperating, the comprehensive economic partnership. Now both the country are trusted a lot and become a partner together. Like in the institution of marriage also, we will say they are partners. So the both country became a partner means more close, more than the comprehensive cooperation agreements. So in the earlier they had a less cooperation like a friends, but later they have become more partner together. So that means some more close together. So that is called as comprehensive economic partnership agreement, which is above CECA. This order is also important. In this year, we can also expect a question on the sequence of the order of the free trade agreements. So one is the first base was the preferential, where reduction of the tariff, free trade agreement, abolition of tariff on most of the goods, CECA, cooperation between the country, and they will expand their reduction of the tariff on more goods. Then partnership, they become more close and partner, CEPA, more than the CECA. And above that, we have a custom union. In this country, 3 more countries come together and they will have a common tariff against the third party or the other parties. So custom union, 2, 3, 4 countries coming together and they will have a common tariff against the third party, and between them, they will have a free flow of goods and services, which is custom union above the CEPA, where 3, 4 more countries will come together. Above custom union, we have a common markets. So the countries will come together and they will have a free flow of labor and markets. Earlier, they just have a goods and services, but in the common market, there is a free flow of labor and forces. Labor and markets, free flow of labor and market will also come in the common market. It is more than the custom union. That means it will include free trade, it will include CACA, CAPA, custom union of these countries, common tariff against other party, and common market where the labor, the free flow of labor also will happen. So both country will be have a like free visa concept where the workers can come from other countries to work there in a cooperative manner, like the investments. Then service sector is more expanded, the common market will be there. Above that, the last is the economic union. So they will finally and agree to have a common currency between them. For example, Euro in the European Union. For example, economic union. Finally, they will agree for an economic union of the countries and they will have a common currency in their transaction. There is a free flow of labor, there is free flow of goods and services and everything. So final Base is final type of the free trade agreement, which is a free completely, that is the economic union where the countries come together, will have a common currency, common financial system. Like for example, the European Union, the euro currency, etc. they have adopted in order to enhance the trade relation among the members. So these are the types of the trade agreement. The order, the first line in a pyramid level, if we say the preferential trade agreement, then the 50A, CECA, CEPA, custom union, common market, economic union. These are the types of trade agreement we have to study in our economy. Okay, now we'll go back to the CECA and CEPA, which was in the news. It is an institutional mechanism, again encouraging the improvement of the trade between the two countries. The CEPA, we have said that it is a partnership agreement between the country, more comprehensive than the free trade agreement. That's why I said that it is about the free trade agreement. It is about even the CECA cooperation agreements, where the CEPA will cover negotiations on the trade in the services, investment and other areas. Recently, India has signed the CEPA agreement with the UAE. So in the prelims, we can expect which of the following country that India has signed or agreed for the CEPA. That means Comprehensive Economic Partnership agreements. Like India signed the CEPA with the Japan, Sri Lanka, South Korea and UAE. So these are the countries, and UAE was finalized in the February 2022. That's why this is a current affair again. So UAE is also a new country which India has signed the CEPA. This fact we need to remember in the prelims paper. Then comprehensive economic cooperation, I've said that it is below the partnership agreement where the countries have a cooperation only. So that the word cooperation in the question, this logic and common sense we can apply in order to find the answers. So the word cooperation is below the partnership. Partnership is more than the cooperation. Generally cover the negotiation on the trade tariff or the tariff rate quotas between the two countries, and it will enhance or lose the connection between the two countries, like enhancing the trade relation between the country. It is not comprehensive, as CEPA means that it is below the CEPA. CEPA is the advanced stages of the CECA. India signed this agreement with the three countries, Malaysia, Singapore and Thailand. Malaysia, Singapore and Thailand. So the countries which India has signed the CEPA, CECA is important for our prelims question. We can expect a question in these points. That way, these countries that India signed CECA and CEPA is important. Okay, these are the concepts with regard to trade agreement. We have to study in an order: PTA first, then the FTA, then the CECA, and then more than the CECA, it is CEPA, about custom union, about that common market, and finally the economic union. So these are the types of free trade agreement, the trade agreements between the countries. So these are concept of that we can expect a questions in our prelims 2022. Please revise this concept, very basic concept. They will talk about which of the countries that India signed CEPA and CECA and another things in an order of sequence of like increasing the free of goods and services. The last, that is economic union, is the ultimate achievement, ultimate free of goods and services, ultimate trade relation of a country with the others. The first stage of enhancing the trade is a PTA, then expanding to FTA, then CECA, then to partnership, then to custom union with adding another country, then common market between some of the countries. Like if there is a free flow of labor and market, then finally the economic union will come together. So this is an example, and this is the kind of the types of trade agreement that we have to study for prelims.